Hi guys, and welcome back to my video blog. And today I'm going to respond to one email, and that person, of course, who is remaining anonymous. I'm not mentioning anybody's name when I'm responding to emails on my videos. Basically, that person is asking a question related to fluency management. So he's saying that for the most part, he's satisfied with his English fluency. He speaks with his foreign English speaking friend. He speaks in English, so he practices his spoken English a lot. And whenever he speaks with his friend, he can speak fluently with no problems whatsoever. And also, he's capable of getting into the English speaking mode, whereby his speech is completely unhindered. He can give free rein to his fluency, and he describes the feeling as fantastic. And I wholeheartedly agree that feeling is fantastic when you can speak in English the same way you can speak in your native language. It's brilliant, it's just amazing, so it is. But then inevitably comes the moment when you experience the slump in your fluency. It deteriorates. And my blog reader who emailed me the question is basically asking how to deal with those moments when he loses the ability to speak in English as fluently as he would when his fluency is at its highest point, when he practices with his friend, for example. And then he says that he notices the deterioration in his fluency, mostly when he speaks with native English speakers and others who he might not be speaking with on a regular basis. So he basically understands that it's a psychological issue, because it can't be that when one's fluency is perfect on some occasions and then it deteriorates really badly on other occasions, that it can't be that one just can't speak fluently. He already knows of his ability to speak. It's just that he can't speak on those certain occasions, right? So he asks how to deal with those issues. And also he asks a question about getting into the speech mode when you can speak very fluently. And he says that sometimes it takes him about 10 minutes to get there. He starts speaking and then he feels a little bit sluggish. The thoughts don't flow as smoothly as they should. And then after 10 minutes or so into the conversation, he feels that the fluency kind of opens up, and then it's all fine. So he also asks a question how to get to that point of a completely fluent speech as soon as possible. Not waiting those 10 minutes, but how to be always at the top performance, so to speak. So here's my answer. First of all, the first step that you've got to do is to accept that these moments will happen. They're inevitable. That's a certainty. You just cannot possibly be always at top of your performance. You can't be always super fluent at all times. It's just not possible. And if you don't believe that, just think about your own native language. Are you always capable of verbalizing just about anything at any given time, any day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 365 days a year? Can you always speak completely freely? If you think about that really thoroughly, I'm sure you'll remember occasions when you can't even speak very fluently in your own native language. It just goes to show that fluctuating fluency is just natural, the same way any human performance is fluctuating. You can't always stay on top of your performance levels at all times. It's just not humanly possible. It's not even natural, for that matter, right? So basically, the first step is to accept that these fluctuations will occur. It's inevitable. And believe it or not, but through that acceptance, you'll learn to improve. Basically, the more you come to accept those issues, the less of an issue it becomes eventually, because if you don't resist it, kind of embrace that concept of the fluctuating fluency, if you embrace it, all of a sudden it becomes less stressful. But if you work against it, then whenever you feel your fluency dwindle, it puts an enormous pressure onto yourself, on your brain mentally, You freak out and you already kind of half expect that it's going to happen. But if you know that it is going to happen and it's totally normal, and just accept it, embrace it, and just speak, keep just speaking, but when you make those mistakes and you struggle a little bit and hesitate, just ignore it. Ignore any embarrassment, shame, or not feeling an adequate English speaker. All those feelings, just ignore them. And that's step number 2, ignorance. And I'm not advocating ignoring your mistakes, because many people have commented on my videos and on my blog saying that it's wrong, you can't ignore your mistakes, you have to improve and learn, and by ignoring them you're not going to improve. That's not what I'm saying at all. You have to ignore the fact that you're making them. Don't let that fact become a big deal. It's no big deal. Ignore any bad emotions being evoked by those mistakes and those moments of hesitation and stuttering or whatever, or inability to find the right word and getting stuck for words. Don't let those emotions make you even more stressed out and freaked out. Don't let that happen. And it's probably easier said than done, but it is possible to learn to live with it, ignore those emotions, and by doing so, you will also do yourself a massive, big favor. And at some point down the line, you will have less and less such moments. Believe me. So basically, your objective is to eradicate these massive fluency fluctuations and make them smaller. Make the next slump in your fluency a little bit less deep, a little bit shallower, so that the fluctuations are within a certain range. Your goal is to spot any warning signs that it's going to get really bad, that you're not going to be able to speak at all. And then you can actually employ certain fluency management techniques to avoid that. And that's the step number 3. I'm suggesting you to read this article, and it's all about fluency management techniques, and it's a compilation of different techniques and methods I've tried and tested myself, and they've worked for me. And this list is by no means exclusive. There are more techniques, and they're all available on my blog and on my video blog, and I'm actually planning to create a real mentoring, a fluency coaching program where I'm going to include every single fluency management technique and method I've tried myself. But anyway, this article is very good, so you may want to check it out. And whenever you feel that your fluency is going to get really bad, you may want to use these methods. So basically it boils down to slowing your speech down if you catch yourself speaking too fast, because it is possible actually to get carried away. It has happened to me during those moments when you can speak completely fluently. You're so excited and so free, and then you speak as fast as you can, and your pronunciation gets better and better, and you can match up with the native English speakers, and then for no reason at all you may experience that fluency drop, and then you're not capable of speaking the same way, and it's kind of a mystery why it happens. My explanation is It just happens because you're getting too carried away. So you may want to slow down a little bit, change the way you pronounce words slightly, and it's all described in this article about English fluency management. So basically, step number 1, accept these fluctuations. Accept the situation that your fluency can't stay the same at all times, and you have to understand that by embracing that fact, you can actually expect your fluency to improve, because you will be less stressed out if you already know that it's going to happen and you kind of let it happen. On certain occasions, this reverse psychology can actually work to your advantage, you know. And by the way, you may want to read this article as well. It's all about reverse psychology, and that sometimes by forcing yourself to make mistakes, you may actually find that your fluency gets better, you know. So you may want to do a lot of testing and speech practicing using this or that particular technique and see which one works for you at that particular moment in time, you know. This technique might work today, but it might work tomorrow. So you have to play around with them all, you know, and find what suits your situation best, your particular circumstances, you know. So the next step, step number 2, was to learn to ignore all the bad feelings that might be evoked by those situations when you get stuck and you hesitate and you can't really explain yourself properly. Ignore it. Just let it happen. Ignore your mistakes. Just speak. Do as good as you can and comfort yourself with the knowledge that you deep down inside you know that your fluency is great. It's just that you can't speak as well as you would want to at this particular moment in time, but you will get back to your normal fluency at some stage. And step number 3 is to manage your fluency. Make sure that every next slump, every next drop in fluency is not as steep as the previous one by employing those certain fluency management techniques described in this article. And over time you should be seeing a definite improvement. So you may want to make sure to put all this information to good use. So, and one last thing before we finish, right? It boils down to practice. The more you speak, the better you'll get over time. There isn't really some kind of a mental trigger, some switch you can pull and all of a sudden you can speak fluently at all times and these fluency fluctuations never occur again. It's not going to happen like that. Even I experience these fluency fluctuations, but I've embraced that fact. I'm not worried at all if that happens, you know. I'm not worried at all. Say for instance today I was speaking with my work colleague, with my secretary, with another manager, and those are the people that I'm comfortable speaking with on a daily basis. So there was no problem. And then some other guy turned up and I had to speak with him a little. And I felt that I started hesitating a little bit, you know. And it's just because I'm so used to speaking with those certain people on a day-to-day basis that when I spoke to that stranger, I became kind of self-conscious a little bit, and it backfired, you know, when I started noticing that my fluency is a little bit shaky, you know, but I just ignored that and I kept speaking with that person and I got back to my normal fluency. It was no problem, you know. The most important thing is to learn to accept the fact and kind of accept it, embrace it, and comfort yourself in that fact, you know. Find comfort in that fact that it doesn't really matter what others think of you. Don't compare yourself to others. And the most important thing is that deep down inside you know that you can speak very well. And it doesn't really matter if at this particular point in time that person hears you perform worse than you actually can. You know, it doesn't really matter. What you know is all that matters. So, I hope that this video provides some useful advice so you can put all that to good use. And thanks for watching, and see you soon again in another video episode. Take care, my friends. Bye.